While President Biden was busy making major policy moves, Donald Trump was in damage control mode today. He held a rally outside Milwaukee, which is hosting the RNC, and which Trump reportedly called horrible last week. Well, at today's rally, he tried to deny making those comments.
I love Milwaukee. I was the one that picked Milwaukee, I have to tell you. I was the one that picked it. These lying people that they say, oh, he doesn't like Milwaukee. I love Milwaukee.
He loves Milwaukee so much that he was going to commute 90 minutes from Chicago throughout the convention next month. That's according to the New York Times. But after reporters started to press them about these plans, the campaign reversed course and said Trump will now stay in Milwaukee. But is it too late? Because remember, Milwaukee is the largest city in a critical swing state that Donald Trump needs in order to win the election. We got to bring in Charlie Sykes, a veteran Wisconsin radio host, MSNBC contributor and columnist, and author of the book, How the Right Lost Its Mind. And Cornell Belcher is here. We have not seen him in ages. Glad to have him back. Democratic strategist, pollster, and founder of Brilliant Corners Research. He is also an MSNBC contributor. Charlie, how bad a look is this for the Trump campaign? Do the people of Wisconsin, of Milwaukee, know what he's done? Insulted their own town.
Yes, they do. I mean, we always speculate about what breaks through. Trust me, everybody in Wisconsin knows what Donald Trump said. And you can't unring a bell. You can't say, oh, I didn't say it. When you have all of these other Republican congressmen who are coming up with different explanations for why he was saying that Milwaukee was horrible. And then, of course, you get the story about Chicago. What you need to understand about Milwaukee is Milwaukee's always had a quasi, inferiority complex, a little bit of a chip on its shoulder, being in the shadow of Chicago. So these things tend to, tend to sting a little bit, but they also, will be remembered. So he's not able to scrape this one off the shoe, and there's nothing he's going to say that's going to change that.
It was good enough for Laverne and Shirley, Charlie. It is damn good enough for me. Cornell, here's what I really need help with. Donald Trump is insulting voters in a key swing state that he needs. He's refusing to court Nikki Haley voters who are very loyal to her. Explain to me how these could be the actions of a person who would like to win this upcoming election.
Well, despite all that, it is what we've all seen of Trump and his supporters, right? They don't move. They're not going anywhere, right? He's not going to lose any support in Wisconsin because he insults Milwaukee, because his support isn't sort of based on that sort of thing. So he's got a base there locked in. The question really, Stephanie, is, can Biden really pull back together that winning coalition that looked a lot like the Obama coalition from 2012, but that coalition that eroded away in 2016, much of it eroding away, not towards Donald Trump, but eroding away from Hillary Clinton in third-party voting.
Charlie, we need to look at a video because I was talking about it in the previous segment. Donald Trump and Republicans 24/7 are just attacking President Biden, whether he's fit for office, and they're sharing misleading videos of the president because they're trying to attack his fitness. But put your misleading videos over here and let's just watch a clip of what Donald Trump had to say today at his own rally. Watch.
Joe Biden's granting mass he's going to formally grant a mass amnesty. Joe Biden, this guy is just the worst. Joe Biden, the worst president in the history of our country, will be a fading nightmare. He'll be I have fading memory, but I think, do you mind if I change it?
A fading, incoherent nightmare. One could say that's what they just watched. If you're the Biden campaign, what do you do with this?
Well, you do what the Trump campaign is doing. You try to weaponize it in a certain way, and that should be relatively easy, right? Because you have these episodes of gibberish every single time he speaks. And of course, that's going to be on display during the debate if it actually takes place next week. But I think it was Tom Nichols in The Atlantic who made the point that that one of Trump's great tricks that he pulled off was to convince many people in the media that this kind of incoherent gibberish is just sort of, well, it's just Donald Trump. You can kind of brush it off. There's an asymmetry where Joe Biden is held to a standard that if he misses words, if he stutters, that somehow this is more evidence that that he's losing it. And then Donald Trump goes off and over what are he's talking about, sharks or batteries or the kind of incoherent ravings that you just mentioned in Wisconsin, and it's sort of like, well, Trump, same old, and that's a problem that they're going to have to confront.